Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 167 of the All Dolphins podcast on this Tuesday, December 19th, 2023. Unlike yesterday, which was the 18th, even though I said the 19th, but getting old, losing track of time. No big deal. As you can see by the gentleman in the box below Omar and I, we are joined today by Clarence Hill Jr. of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram to talk a little bit Cowboys, Dolphins, Hard Rock Stadium on behind enemy lines before
the battle of the pretenders.
You know the term I heard somebody threw out to me today that I hadn't heard, the Fraudster Bowl.
Okay.
Before we get to Clarence, very quickly, we're going to do our obligatory salute to a player whose jersey number corresponds to the last two digits of the episode number. 67 in this case. The first time around we did Hall of Fame candidate, seniors candidate now, Bob Kuchenberg. This time we're going to go with Laramie Tunsil, who wore 67 his first two seasons with the Dolphins before switching to 78, before being traded to the Houston Texans in a deal that keeps on giving.
The player that you gave up one of the best tackles in the NFL for a bounty of draft picks that have turned into okay players, but I don't necessarily think it correlates or serves as the cornerstone of what you've become.
Oh my God, Omar, go back and look at what they've produced, mind you, including some draft picks thrown in there as well. But there's a litany of really high-end players, including Jalen Waddle.
That's cute.
Sorry?
That's cute. Let me ask you a question. Would you rather have Minkah Fitzpatrick, one of the best safeties in the NFL, and Laramie Tunsil, one of the best offensive tackles in the NFL, or this bounty of draft picks, which the star is Jalen Waddle?
It's not, the star is not Jalen Waddle because they got more out of it. But let's not. Clarence is looking at us like, are these guys going to get done with this Laramie Tunsil talk? Omar, you and I will revisit this topic at some point.
What you want, Laramie Tunsil or draft picks, Clarence?
Ooh, who are the picks? Tell me who the picks are.
What
they turned into?
Correct. And it was way more than Jalen Waddle. It's the only name I can think of because I'm trying to think if maybe even.
Well, if they were valuable, you think of more than Jalen Waddle.
It was way more than Jalen Waddle.
One of them might be Noah Igbenogany.
One of them might be Tyreek Hill, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, man, that's just a trade of a first-round pick. That's not Laramie Tunsil. That's just you.
But it's extra picks that were used to do that. That's what I'm trying to get. Okay, enough with this tomfoolery, foolishness, all that good stuff. Omar, do your thing.
Listen. Right now, you have the pleasure of watching one of the smoothest men covering the NFL, Clarence Hill. Clarence has been a mentor of mine. Clarence taught me how to treat the youngins when they come in the game. You give them everything. You share the knowledge. You tell them you got a need. You come to me, and I continue to pass that on as Clarence continues to pass that on. And that's really how you support this young generation of young reporters. Clarence, I just want to give you your flowers, brother, because you're the first person that really, really taught me how to work the game.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys for having me on, man. You're making me seem old. You've been doing this a long time yourself, Omar. So,
I know, but you got a decade on me now. Don't play.
You're not escaping that one, Clarence.
I'm just
proudly.
Saying. No, it is all good, man. I appreciate it. I've always thought about giving back and reaching back, and so I am glad you have risen to where you are, and the authority of the Dolphins. So you are part of the legacy.
Appreciate that, Clarence.
Did you just call him the authority on the Dolphins? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, cool.
You're gonna fire the first question, or shall I go, Mark? Well, I'll let you do the honors.
Clarence, I call this the showdown of the pretenders because everybody in the NFL views both of these teams as fraudulent teams because they supposedly haven't beaten anybody.
Exactly.
Now they finally get to play each other. Somebody's going to lose. Somebody is finally gonna end their pretender legacy. How do you see this game playing out, especially after the embarrassing loss that the beatdown that the Buffalo Bills put on Dallas?
Well, two things. The they love to move the goalposts. So no matter who wins, they're like, we just beat the Cowboys. They don't win on the road, right? Or you just beat the Dolphins and they're a pretender, right? It's going to be a goalpost being moved anyway. So I don't think this game proves anything. They're not a pretender. If that's the case, that the narrative that's out there. But yeah, this is a huge game for the Cowboys because they don't understand why they're so bad on the road and so good at home. You know, one thing to note is that the Cowboys have not lost back-to-back games since 2021. They're really good about bouncing back, and you know they don't have 2 losses in a row. But I don't think they've ever had a juggernaut of at Buffalo, at Miami in back-to-back games. So it's going to certainly put a test to that trend of them not losing back-to-back games. And again, the issue with the Cowboys is all 4 of those losses will come on the road. You know, and they got 2 very embarrassing losses, 3 very embarrassing losses we had in Arizona. They lost by double digits, a 3-11 Arizona team. They got the doors blown off by San Francisco, which is everybody says is a good team. And certainly the egg they laid, the no-show they laid up in Buffalo last weekend. And for the Cowboys, when they no-show, it's everybody. It's offense, it's defense. They didn't get anything done. And now they have to regroup and come down to Miami and try to get this thing done. And again, the Cowboys certainly are a pretender because they're not going to win the division at this point. They're not going to have the #1 seed. And they already made the playoffs, but they have to when they get in the playoffs, they have to play on the road, and they can't win on the road. So how could you believe in a team that can't win on the road when that's the road you have to take to get to the Super Bowl?
But
hold on.
Just last week, Dak Prescott was the MVP frontrunner. What happened?
Buffalo happened. Buffalo happened. He didn't play well, and you know he was awful. But you know that's part of it. I mean, you know, it's mind-boggling as hot as that offense was, and how did Dak Prescott was. They would go out and have a game like they did against Buffalo. But that's similar to what they did against Miami. I mean, not Miami. It's similar to what they did against San Francisco. I mean, it's similar to what they did against Arizona. And the only thing you can say, the difference is the road. It wasn't the weather. They got a beautiful day for Buffalo standards, especially in the first half in December, you know, with 40-some degrees and no rain. It started raining the second half. But the game was over. There was no snow. There was no cold weather. You know, they are a passing team. It worked well for what they wanted to do. But they couldn't get anything done.
May I, Omar?
You sure may.
Gee, thanks. My question to you, Clarence, is because I look at Dallas's record, is this so much an issue of them being poor on the road as opposed to them having a hard time beating the elite teams? Because outside of the Arizona blip, the teams that they lost to, again, San Francisco, Philly, and Buffalo, and the game that they lost against the Eagles was one that they kind of should have won. So is it more of an issue of, again, beating the top teams as opposed to they just can't win on the road? Because they're poor.
All right. You know, again, is Philly a top team? I mean, because you said it, they probably should have beat Philly on the road, and they blew Philly's doors off at home. You know, and that's the thing that's mind-boggling with the Cowboys, because the question they can't beat elite teams, well, they thought they answered that when they blew out Philly the week before the Buffalo game. You know, and then they go to Buffalo. So it's more of a road issue than a top team issue, because they did beat Philly on the road. I mean, at home. They did beat Seattle, which is which beat Philly, which is a playoff contender at home. But it's not just not beating them; it's the performances. And again, the way they got their doors blown. There's no way you're going to tell me, you know, listen, that San Francisco and Buffalo are 20, 30 points better than the Cowboys when they're both at their best. But when they show up or don't show, that's what the score looks like, you know. And so it's really, you know, this, and that's what, you know, troubles them the most is the non-compete in those games.
Mm-hmm.
How much of that, sorry, Omar.
Go ahead.
How much of that, if any, is on Mike McCarthy, you think?
I mean, obviously he's the head coach. You know, he gets credit for what they do and how they, you know, done well at home, and he gets credit for them having double-digit wins for 3 straight years. He gets credit for them being in the playoffs for 3 straight years, and so this is part of that DNA. He's not pushing the right buttons. There's no question he's not pushing the right buttons in these games on the road. So yeah, he certainly gets some of that. But players got to be accountable. I mean, where's Michael Parsons? You talking about Dak Prescott being the MVP guy? Michael Parsons supposed to be Defensive Player of the Year. Where is he in those games and showing up in those games? And Dan Quinn, everybody loves Dan Quinn, but the next head coach, and he's got none of it. But his defense was exposed in those games. Their run defense has been an issue. It was certainly exposed, and they couldn't handle the power of the Bills, but also couldn't handle the speed of James Cook. And now you're coming to Miami and facing those two speedy backs you got, and the Cowboys don't set the edge. I mean, how are they going to contain A-Chain and Mostert, Yeah, not to mention Tyreek Hill if he's healthy.
How much do you think that matchup? Obviously, Tyreek is probably the most dangerous weapon in the NFL. How much do you think the game changes if he does not play?
I think it changes a lot because I think the Cowboys will put more in the box because they didn't do a lot of stuff. They didn't load the box against Buffalo, and they played, and Buffalo took advantage of that nickel defense, and they with their size and again that's the scheme issue for Quinn. But yeah, if Tyreek doesn't play, the Dolphins are a different offense without Tyreek. I mean, certainly they beat the Jets, but it's not use the Jets game as an example. I mean, the week before, they did that offense looked, and the quarterback looked a lot different without Tyreek on the field.
How much does the Dallas offense change, if at all, and how less effective do you figure it will be if Zach Martin winds up not being able to play?
Well, I think Zach's going to play. He's trending in the right direction. Certainly more of a bruise than anything else. It wasn't anything joint or ligament-wise. He was rehabbing yesterday. He's still going to play up to the game. Mac McCarthy said he's going to play. They expect him to play, but I don't think that Zach Martin's absence was a reason for their struggles in Buffalo. That certainly wasn't the case. And their little secret is Zach Martin is not the best offensive lineman on the team anymore. It's the left guard. It's Tyler Smith. Zach Martin has not been their best guard this season. It's been Tyler Smith, and Zach Martin's still Zach Martin, but he's not Pro Bowl give up nothing Zach Martin. That's not who we're seeing anymore anyway.
Interesting. I remember Tyler Smith. I saw him training in Bomarito's, and I thought he was good, but I didn't know he was going to be one, a first-round pick, and two, the best offensive lineman on that line. What has his development been like?
I mean, you know what? Tyler Smith has been good since he showed up. He was brought in to possibly be the replacement of Tyron Smith, the left tackle. But he was going to start at guard, and then Tyron Smith as a rookie got hurt in training camp and has forced him to start at left tackle all last year. And he was very solid, held his own at left tackle. Tyron Smith is back, and he's been at guard, and he's if you look at the grade and how he's played, he's graded out as one of the top guards in the game, and that's from day one. And again, his maturity, he's one of the most impressive rookies to ever walk in those doors. And how he handles himself, how he handles the media. Guy from Tufts who never really talked to the media. You would think, in college, certainly not in high school, he was not a big time prospect, like a 2-star prospect coming out. But he's a smart guy, intelligent guy, real grounded guy, and he's one of our great interviews. I mean, he talks every week and is very can really explain what's going on. Again, one of the most impressive guys. But yeah, his maturity. You talking about rookie, offensive line. That's your thing. And for a guy to come out of rookie number one and go from guard to tackle back to guard without any problems, any blips. You talk about development. You want to leave this guy here. You don't want to overwhelm him. He handled it all. And certainly coming to us his sophomore year, he's been great.
Clarence, are you the one who taught Omar to obsess about the offensive line?
I did not.
Absolutely.
Did not. That's his own. That's his thing. Yeah. I'm a back guy. I'm a back guy. I'm a receiver guy. But I like the defensive side of the ball. But that's him. He's the line guy.
Absolutely. Now let me do this. This segment is brought to you by You Break Wheel Fix. You Break Wheel Fix is your complete wheel repair and refinishing solutions located in North Miami. Over 25 years experience repairing damaged wheels from cracks and bends along all types of refinishing and repair jobs. Customize your wheels with colors and designs that will make your car look fresh. You can call Mark at 305-748-0112. Once again, You Break Will Fix, and you can find them on social media anywhere you can. And at You Break Will Fix, right there. Let me ask you a little bit about this defense, Clarence. Obviously, I didn't see that many big major numbers from Josh Allen. It just looked like they got gobbled up by Cook. Is this defense susceptible to the run?
Oh, there's no question. That's been an issue from day one. I mean, because the Cowboys, have one of the best pass rushers in the league, with Michael Parsons. And that's the way teams, want to avoid the pass rush by running on them. And the Cowboys before the Bills game had not given up a 100-yard rush, but that's mostly because the offense usually get in the head and teams have to, throw the ball to keep up with them offensively. But the Bills basically went Michigan mode. I mean, you say you didn't see the big numbers from Josh Allen. Josh Allen completed 7 passes in the whole game. He threw 15. It was like Michigan, when they just ran 49 straight times to end the game. They didn't have to pass. And it was crazy because after the game, the coach gave Josh Allen the game ball. Why did he get a game ball? James Cook didn't get a game ball. That's crazy to me. Why did James Cook didn't get a game ball? Why you give it to Josh Allen? It makes no sense. And Josh Allen made a joke, said, I feel like the guy who did nothing on the class project got an A. Which is a factual, because it was all about the running game. It was all about James Cook. They know that they have a problem stopping the run. Certainly they have not. No one has exposed them like Buffalo, but the certainly the 49ers and Christian McCaffrey ran well on them. Deebo Samuel ran well physically on them. But when they lost to Arizona, that was part of it. Teams use their big offensive linemen. They pull in guards, get stuff out in space, take advantage of the Cowboys' weak, smallish linebackers. The Cowboys are starting Marquise Bell, kid of the family you love, and great story, but he weighs on 208 pounds. At linebacker, he weighs 208 pounds. And so they get their big lineman on them, and it's an issue. It's one reason why they tried to sign Shaq Leonard. And they lost Leighton Vander Esch. They tried to sign Shaq Leonard, chose to go to Philadelphia over the Cowboys because he wanted to be with some dogs on defense, because that defense is been part of a 3-game losing streak. They changed defense coordinator. It didn't matter because they gave it all up against Seattle in the final moments last on Monday night. But they're small, and so then they playing without Jonathan Hankins, a nose tackle, is reminding people that is he V to V? When did Jonathan Hankins become this anchor that a guy has been on several teams who was basically given away by the Raiders last year to the Cowboys for nothing, and now he's so integral to what the Cowboys do on run.
Hold on. So he's not going to be playing on Sunday?
No, he's out. No, he has ankle injury. He didn't play against Buffalo, and he's most likely he's out to the end of the season with a high ankle sprain.
A nose tackle is a very hard position to replace. Is Mozzie Smith up for the task?
Exactly. The guy they drafted the first round out of Michigan, who was supposed to bench press 700 pounds, has been a huge disappointment, if not a bust so far. He doesn't play a lot, and he hadn't played a lot, and he was part of that run defense. That was part of his problems against Buffalo, because you drafted a guy in the first round to be a run stuffer. He was supposed to start in front of Hankins. You got in the first round out of Michigan.
But I don't think he's a true nose tackle. I mean, I understand he's strong like an ox, but I didn't.
He's not a true nose tackle, and he can't pass rush, so he's not a true technique either. So what you doing with him? He can't rush the passer.
You can't disrespect Jerry in his drafting, though. I will say this: I will fight for Jerry Jones, because I think his drafting over the last.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. It's Will McClay. Let's get a proper man his flowers. It ain't Jerry Jones. It's Will McClay. It's Will McClay in his drafting. But he's done a great job. You look at the Tyler Smith and last year's draft with Tyler Smith, the cornerback that lead the league in interceptions, in pick sixes. He was part of that draft class. Certainly Jake Ferguson, Deron Bland is always talking about the cornerback. Jake Ferguson, tight end out of Wisconsin, was great. So last year's draft class, you talk about all the first round picks, all the offensive linemen that got a draft. So they drafted well. This past draft class, though, we're already talking about Mozzie Smith, not really showing up and not being who they hoped he was going to be. The second round pick, if Jake, Jake Ferguson tight was going to blow up like you did, you wouldn't be taking Luke Schoonmaker, who's not done anything, in the second round. And so that's been a disappointment. That's part of this draft class. This past draft class has not lived to expectations.
To Omar here with an offensive line question. The Dolphins Jets game on Sunday was pretty much over the first time the Jets had the ball, when the Dolphin pass rush just basically, I don't know, ran through turnstiles and just plastered Zach Wilson. And it was clear from the start, Jets O-line was not going to be able to stop that pass rush. Is the Dallas pass pro been good? Yeah, let me leave it at that, because if obviously if Dak Prescott's under pressure the whole game, it's going to be tougher for him to get to CeeDee Lamb and those guys.
Well, the Jets offensive line is one reason why Aaron Rodgers needs to stop that mess about trying to come back. Yeah, come on, they got you hurt. They got you hurt in game one. You saw what happened to Zach Wilson. You stop this glorification of Aaron Rodgers coming back for no reason. I mean,
you know that man is trying to make history, come back from be the first play ever to come back.
It's all about the glorification of Aaron Rodgers. Ain't nobody helping the team. I understand this. I know Aaron Rodgers, know him well. It's all about that. But yeah, no, the Cowboys' offense line is much better. Again, I talked about Tyron Smith, left tackle, has been lights out. They didn't have a good game against Buffalo, but nobody did. But they've been great all season, and they played well. Talking about Zach Martin. The weak link is Terrence Steele at right tackle, but he certainly had a horrible game against Philadelphia a couple weeks ago. But he's been solid. No, the pass rush has been good, and Dak Prescott has been good getting away from the rush, and they like to say playing beyond the 2.3 and really scrambling and making plays with his feet. So no, this is definitely not the Jets' offensive line you're facing.
No, I knew that, but I was trying to get an idea. Nobody's at the Jets' offensive line. I mean, that thing is like Division III. I was just curious as to exactly how much better it was.
Let me ask you about Dak. You know the narrative about Dak. You cover the Cowboys, so you know they're America's team. So you cover a team that the whole world cares about. Is Dak ever going? What does Dak need to do to get the monkey off his back of Dak can't win a big game?
Win a big game.
Exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. The problem what I have with the win a big game is it's only a big game when he loses. It's not a big game. He's won a lot of games. He's won a lot of games. Won a lot of games as a winning team. Won a lot of games against tough teams. But it's only when he loses is it not a big? Is it a big? When he loses, it's a big game. The other games are just supposed to win. I don't know why you could supposed to win anything. Everybody talks about. It's funny because we talked about the Jets defense. And, certainly before Tua had a good game this week. There was this stat about how all these quarterbacks struggled against the Jets defense. Dak had no problem with the Jets defense. He was like 30 or 35 with 270-some yards and 2 touchdowns. But yet no one gives him credit for that. But the thing with Dak, and just like the thing with this Cowboys team, is you have to win in the playoffs. The Cowboys have not won been to the Super Bowl, have been to the championship game since 1995. His 2 playoff wins. He beats Tampa last year. No one cares because he loses to San Francisco, and now he hasn't won a big game. He beat Seattle and Russell Wilson in the playoffs. No one remembers that, because he didn't win the next round. So it's only he went toe to toe with Aaron Rodgers as a rookie. Go back to his rookie year and went toe to toe with Aaron Rodgers. They had the best rookie league. Probably should have won that game, but the defense gave up a 3rd and 30. Came back against Aaron Rodgers, but no one remembers that. It's all Dak only lays an egg, and that's not true. But that's the narrative. It's going to be the narrative until the Cowboys and Dak Prescott, and I think he's getting some of the guff from Tony Romo and all the years in the past because they didn't win big games. It's the thing that's hanging over the whole Cowboys franchise. Can they win in the playoffs? What's also going to get Mike McCarthy, who's been his coach. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, guys. How is he viewed by the fandom? Is there a Dakanon in Dallas?
I mean, again, Dak is a lightning rod. I mean, and I think the social media, the first takes have made everything crazy. I mean, there are Cowboy fans who literally hate Dak Prescott because of what they hear on First Take or what they hear on Undisputed and what they hear. He doesn't get a break. And again, I rail against he's ass, he sucks, he's trash. First of all, that's not how you should talk about any player in the NFL who's played as long as he had. But I've seen ass and trash quarterbacks who want to do that. I've covered the Cowboys for a long time. We've had the Clint Sterners and Anthony Wrights and the Quentin Carters and the there's so many bad quarterbacks between Troy Aikman and Tony Romo that I can't even remember them all. But we've seen a lot of ass and trash quarterbacks come through here. Dak Prescott is not one of them. Dak Prescott is probably going to go down as the third best quarterback in Cowboys history. But because he hasn't won the playoffs, because the Cowboys have won the playoffs, he's getting that gook. And that's what he's getting. And again, until the Cowboys do something in the postseason, it comes with the dinner.
I am very curious, Clarence, about what that next contract for Dak is going to look like, because I think it's going to set the tone for Tua's next contract. Are they going to be redoing Dak's deal this summer?
They have to. He has a $59 million cap hit next year. And then they have things they got to do and people they have to sign. And so they have to get it done. And you really don't want to go into the final year of the quarterback's contract with that hanging over his head. And, it's funny because you talk about, the MVP stuff, now that's stopped. If Dak had won the MVP, and if he had continued to play where he played, he was getting Burrow money. He still may get Burrow money. He was going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. There's no way. Coach for the quarterback for the Cowboys, win MVP, possibly, doing well in the playoffs. There was no way they weren't. Dak and his agent were going to make them back up the Brinks truck. Again, you're still going to have to do that because that's what it is. The Cowboys are not going to go in another direction the quarterback because Dak has proven, he's not necessarily the problem. He hasn't been the answer yet because you have won the playoffs, but you're going to win with Dak Prescott at quarterback. So it's going to be interesting. We know the number starts at 50. How much over 50, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you got a decent quarterback at this point. I remember when Dak's deal was the highest in the league, and everybody thought it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
now his deal is
tied for 10th. It's tied for 10th, and we all knew that. Anybody that watched the game, you knew these other deals were coming down the pike. Actually, when Dak signed, he was second behind Mahomes, and then obviously Josh Allen signed his deal and some other stuff. But yeah, everybody thought it was crazy, and he's not Mahomes, and he doesn't. No, he's not Mahomes. No one's Mahomes. No one's Aaron Rodgers and all those stuff. But that's what you have to pay top quarterbacks. You're seeing Jalen Hurts just got his deal. You see how he's playing, and it is what it is. And so if you have a top quarterback, you got to pay him top quarterback money. And it's right now it starts at 50 plus.
You were talking about the MVP race. So if he lights up the Dolphins, he'll be right back in the MVP conversation. Just like Tua disappeared after the Tennessee game, and now he's back in the picture. After what they did against the Jets, that's
in the Tyreek Hill. I mean, isn't he the MVP?
I think he is, but
But let's talk about that for a second.
Go for it.
I love Tyreek Hill, as a player and what he's done. But they have an award for him. It's called Offensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
Quarterbacks do too much for a receiver to get MVP. They do too much. They have too much control of the game for a receiver to get MVP. I mean, love what he's done.
Why would you just name the MVP the quarterback award, quarterback of the year award? Adrian Peterson won it when he went rush for 2,000 yards. So now all of a sudden a wide receiver that goes to 2,000 and he's not going to go for 2,000 right now because they'd have to average 152 per game, which I just think is unrealistic. But I mean, if he had done it, I think
Well, and I think the difference with Adrian Peterson is the running back gets way more carries, though. They still have more control, especially back then, and the game has changed so much. But back then, when you're getting 20, 25, 30 touches a game, it's different than 10.
Agreed, but to me, my take's always been that what makes the Dolphin offense special, which has been for most of the year, and it's Tyreek Hill as well as Tua has played.
It would be, if the Dolphins had the best record in the league, or the second best record, then we have a different conversation. If they're winning games against winning teams.
Well, correct. If they close out the season with 3 wins, for example, then Tua is absolutely going to be in the conversation, and then Tyreek, depending on what he does in those 3 games, again.
But then they're splitting votes, and neither one's going to win.
Yeah. Well, hold on. But are we giving Brock Purdy the MVP because he's got the best team and he's got the best?
I'm not on that narcotic, but it is what it is. I mean, it's I think Chris McCaffrey is the most indispensable player. If not him, then it's Deebo Samuel on that team. But you don't know how that goes. Brock Purdy's going to be in the conversation. Of course, they may split votes too. It may be Lamar Jackson.
I mean,
okay, but hold on, Clarence. I'm gonna put you to the fire here. You're saying it can't be Tyreek because it's a quarterback award, but you're not on board with Purdy because McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel are better players and more vital to this offense.
I mean, you're trying to gotcha? You're trying to gotcha me? You're trying to gotcha me? No, I'm not. I'm saying that I'm not. What I'm saying is that there's an award for outstanding individual performances, and that's Offensive Player of the Year. I didn't say it couldn't be Tyreek. I just said that I wouldn't do that, and I didn't say I was voting for Purdy or Deebo Samuel or one of those guys. I'm just saying, looking at the 49ers and his candidacy, I think that those guys are more valuable to what they do. That's all I'm saying. But there's no clear. The problem is, and it was a good problem to have, maybe for a guy like Tyreek, and maybe for those other guys, because there's no clear-cut guy, and so it's going to come down to there's obviously Josh Allen could get back in the conversation. There's no clear-cut winner and no clear-cut front runner at this point. So it's really wide open. So we'll see. Maybe it's going to come down to the last 2 weeks.
Let's hammer this out.
Because you got Lamar Jackson has games against Miami and San Francisco.
Correct. Who's your vote right now, though? If the season is over, right? And by the way, I apologize if Omar didn't warn you that I play devil's advocate quite a bit.
I'm trying to figure out what's on your hat.
Montreal Expos. Come on.
That's what I thought. I was just trying. What's going on with the Expos down in South Florida, man? I'm
born and raised in Montreal.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Okay, even though they don't exist anymore. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
Wow. But you have to hold me like that. Wow.
If I had to go right,
that's for the gotcha.
That's for the gotcha for sure. I played dirty.
Right now, today is over. Who's your MVP vote?
Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
I think that's I mean, if we look at it, nobody's giving it to Mahomes. Okay, nobody wants to give it to Brock because he kind of is.
No, there's people that want to give it to Brock. That's not true. That's
okay.
There's a whole legion of Brock fans out there that want to give it to Brock. I disagree with that.
Okay, and then Dak just fumbled the ball at the goal line. Yeah, and that might just be Lamar. To be honest with you, unless he flatlines at the end of the season, he's got to take care of business. Tough game against the 49ers, and then that brutal showdown in Baltimore against the Dolphins. Maybe he uses his hometown team to cement his candidacy.
Yeah, if he beats the 49ers and beats Miami, I think he's going to win.
And I'm on board with you there, Clarence. Right now, I would probably go Lamar.
Mm-hmm. So
of course, he's never won the playoffs either, and so he still has that same question. Yep. And that's the thing about everybody says, well, the Cowboys and Chiefs. Cowboys and Dolphins are frauds. Who isn't a fraud right now? I mean, the only guy that's won it is Kansas City. In Patrick Mahomes, and they're not playing well. Okay, they're certainly not the favorite. Everybody else is a question mark. I mean, Philly, they got there last year. They're not playing well. They haven't won it. People act like they untouchable because they got to the Super Bowl. Ask Dan Marino what it means to get to the Super Bowl for the rest of your, and never get back the rest of your career. I mean, getting to the Super Bowl never meant anything. Now all of a sudden, well, Jalen Hurts got to the Super Bowl. So what? It doesn't matter. You didn't win it. You're not untouchable because you got to the Super Bowl. Again, the 49ers have been dominant. They haven't won it since the Cowboys won it. People don't know that. The Cowboys, they won since 95, but the 49ers, they won it since 94. They got in there. They haven't won it.
They've been pretty good. They've been building momentum for the past couple of years. Now they got a cheap quarterback. They could build a good team with a cheap quarterback.
All of that, but do it. You still ain't done it. You still ain't, gotten, they've got to the Super Bowl with Kaepernick. They got in the Super Bowl with Garoppolo. They've done that. They haven't won it.
Okay. You're right. You're right. Absolutely right.
When you're right, you're right, and you're right.
Not there with Jeff Garcia. Yeah,
all of that. You know, you got to win it. I mean,
at least they've been there. Dolphins ain't been there since '84.
I got you. All of that, but you know, again, no one gets credit. They don't hang banners for being there.
Lakers hanging banners for in-season championship.
Omar, at this point, hell, we take a playoff win here. Been 23 years.
Yeah.
That'd be almost a Super Bowl here.
Yeah.
No
offense.
Y'all know good and well if they win a wild card playoff game and lose in the first round, ain't nobody gonna be happy. Ain't nobody gonna be happy.
We exercising demons over here. This is a totally different era of Dolphin fandom where we've got generations of people in their 30s who've never seen a playoff win.
Mm-hmm. Like, I understand that, but if they win a wild card game and lose at Baltimore, lose at whoever, you know, no one's gonna be happy, especially with all the hype and all the, you know, the greatest show on turf.
Hold on, Dolphins didn't begin the season as this darling, and
no, but they are darling now. You know, we're talking about Mike McDaniel's outfits and clothes, and oh, he's so stylish.
He is a fly man.
I know who's doing it. I know who's doing it. I follow social media. He's so stylish.
He's talking about his shoes and sneakers all the time.
What kind of Jordans he got on?
No, he don't wear Jordans. Jordans too low for him.
I'm sorry. Whatever shoes, you know, all of that.
Yeah. Listen, it'll be an interesting game. I think it's one of the top games of this week. Obviously, Clarence, when you come down, holla at me so we can, you know, run the streets a little bit together. Maybe we hit up a special spot after the game.
Okay.
That you know, that shall not be mentioned. Always a pleasure, Clarence. We thank you for your time. We thank you. What is your prediction? We generally don't do predictions, but are you feeling like the Cowboys are going to get a bounce back?
No, I think the Dolphins win. I think the Cowboys are going to lose 2 straight. You know, again, the Cowboys got to lose. You got to show me. You know, I'm not in the, you know, feeling good. I mean, that loss was too bad and too embarrassing for me to say that they're going to just automatically bounce back against a team as good as certainly Miami. And again, the way Miami plays at home, they play well at home. Just like the Cowboys play well at home, and they have a thing that they, you know, not just Tyreek Hill, but those speedy backs. What this gave the Cowboys so much fits last week with Buffalo and James Cook. These guys are faster.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't have your nose tackle, you don't have a defense when you run a 3-4. So I expect a lot of running. All right, Clarence, we appreciate you. That's All Dolphins Podcast. Clarence, tell them how to find you on Twitter, Clarence, because you want to follow us.
Find me on Twitter. You follow me, you get all of me. I'm not just a seam head. I talk about everything. So Clarence Hill Jr. on Twitter all together. Clarence Hill Jr. on Twitter, and Chill NFL on Instagram.
See, and Clarence is much like me. It's like a shot of Hennessy. If you don't like it straight, don't go to him, because he ain't gonna give it to you with no chaser. All right, we appreciate you. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. Behind Enemy Lines, I told you it was going to be a good episode, and see, Clarence backed it up for me. All right, we will see you guys tomorrow.
No, cover it up, man. I'm sorry. Expose.
There you go.